Alright, what's up guys? It's Blake from B Square Bass Fishing, and today I'm going to be doing a video for beginners on some tips to get you started fishing today. First, to start off the video, we're going to go with your reel. So, when you're fishing, you need to decide between a bait caster or a spinning reel. Once you get that decided, that kind of narrows it down a little bit. Then you need your rod. So you can go with a ultralight, a light action, a medium heavy, and then you need to decide on your taper. And then once you get your rod selected, you're pretty much good to go on that note. Then you need to select your line. And I actually have my two favorite lines with me today. For pitching and flipping, I like to use Seaguire Red Label 12-pound test. It's fluorocarbon, so it's almost invisible. It sinks. And for like my Senko style fishing and stuff like that, I use Spider Wire Ultra Cast Mono. This is 8-pound. So get that spooled up on your reel, and you're good to go. If you're using a bait caster, I like to use braid, anywhere from a 25 to a 50-pound braid. Next, let's go with my favorite tool in my tackle bag, and that is your scale. So these aren't exactly what you need to get, but they're good examples of what you could. So this is a Quoro digital scale with the hook that goes through the mouth, and you can weigh with pounds, grams, kilograms, stuff like that. That's the one I use. And another one you can choose from is just a little Rapala scale. It's not digital or anything, you know, just put it through the fish's mouth and it's gonna pull it down. Not as accurate. This one also has a tape measure on the side. That's pretty useful. Now on to scent. I don't use it that much, but it can be useful if you're fishing for finicky bass. I go with the Bang scent. I go with craw and shad formula. Now to dyes. These are definitely a must-have in your bag. There are two main brands, JJ's Magic and Spike It. I like Spike It. Here's the Fire Red Spike It and the Chartreuse. I always keep these in my box. You never know what type of water you're going to be fishing. So it just gives your lure a little bit more attractant for the fish. Onto the lures now. Depending on what kind of water you're fishing, you know, murky, clear, stained, anything like that. Here's what I go to first this time of year. A lot of times I'll go with a frog. This is a Spro Poppin' Frog in the bullfrog color. Or you can go with this is a Booyah Pad Crasher. This is not a Poppin' Frog. And then last this is a smaller frog, kind of like a micro version. So those are my favorite three types. Now on to my favorite topwater bait. This is a Hogback Lures buzz bait. I use these quite a bit. You know, they're really good for fishing in the morning, but you can catch fish on them all day. And probably my favorite lure overall, my whole entire box, is a Walker bait. This is a Boyd Duckett series topwater. I've caught a ton of fish, not on these baits in general, but on Walker baits. As well as, well actually it's a new tactic for me, but it works, I figured out, is a spy bait. I actually don't know what brand this is, but what a spy bait is, it has a propeller on the back, so when you're reeling it in, that propeller spins, creates a lot of noise on top of the water. Those are good for using late night or early morning. And the One of the last topwater lures is a popper. This is a Rapala topwater popper with the like a red flare treble hook. For the big boys, I keep a Spro BBZ 1 Rat in my box. I don't really use this bait that often, but when I do, I catch fish on it. I've never used this bait, but this is a Sebile swingtail minnow. It doesn't look very good. I don't use it, but I got it in a Lucky Tackle box, so it's whatever. You know, that's basically it for this time of year. Since this is a how-to video, I can go towards any time of year. So if you're in, you know, cold water conditions, but the water's also clear, you can go with a jerkbait. This is a Rick Clunn Classic jerkbait. You can also go with a lipless crankbait. I've got 3 different styles here. This is a Yo-Zuri. That's more of a smaller lipless. This is a Cotton Cordell lipless crankbait. That's a little bit bigger. And lastly, this is I actually don't know what brand this is, but it's a soft lipless crankbait, and it doesn't have any rattles at all, but it's like completely bendable. One more is a square bill. This is a live target bait ball square bill. You don't have to use this in particular. You can really use any color. I just prefer these live target bait balls. And for springtime, my favorite bait to throw is a jig. This is a Hogback Lures jig with a Rage Tail, Rage Craw trailer. Those are really good for pitching around trees, brush, anything like that. I caught a 4.5 pounder on this exact jig a couple months ago, so I definitely recommend Hogback. Go check them out. There it is. Okay. My second favorite is a Terminator finesse jig. This one has a Zoom Ultra Vibe Speed Crawl on it in the green pumpkin color. These are also really good. Go check out Terminator. Those are my favorites. I'm not even going to go over the other ones because I don't use them. Another, not a bad choice would be a chatterbait. This is a Z-Man Project Z chatterbait, bluegill color. I think this is 1/2 ounce. What I've been catching a lot of fish on here lately has been a spinnerbait. This is a Strike King KVD spinnerbait with a willow and a Colorado blade and a trailer hook. On your spinnerbaits, you always want to use a trailer hook in case that bass swipes at it and misses it. And another tip that you're not going to hear from anybody else is trim your skirts. When you trim your skirts, when you stop your spinnerbait, the skirt's going to flare out. If you don't cut it, it's all going to group together and it's not going to look good at all. So there's a little tip. If you're fishing at night with a spinnerbait, you want to use a double Colorado blade. It's going to create a lot of vibration. And if you're fishing like midday, you want to use a double willow blade. Those really work for me. Now onto the hooks. My favorite hook overall is a 4/0 Trokar wide gap EWG. I love using these hooks for just about everything, pitching, flipping, everything like that. I love using this hook. And if you're going to be doing any Senko fishing, you can use a 1/0. These are the Bass Pro Shops 1/0 wide gap EWG. And now on to some jig heads. These are shaky heads. These are, I think, spot remover. I got tube jig heads. Always keep those in your box. You never know when you're going to come across some smallmouth and then throw a tube jig. I haven't used these at all. I've heard a lot of good stuff about them. This is a Ned Rig jig head. It goes on the Z-Man Finesse TRD. And I've never used these, but this is more of a jointed jig head. I wouldn't even begin to know what you'd throw on that, but got two swim bait jig heads here. I have no idea the brand name of, actually this one's Hogback, I don't know this one, but these will work just as good as this does. These are weedless, these aren't. Just preference and, you know, where you're fishing. Sorry this video is so long, you know, it was requested and I really wanted to go over everything you can do, you know, what time to use all this and stuff like that. So if it's too long for you, get over it. Now on to soft plastics. Start out with my favorite bait, and that is a Senko style bait. Just pulled out this one. Doesn't really matter, they all work, and I'm not kidding when I say that. These are Prowler Senko style baits. This is a 4-inch Slim Jim. Okay, now something I really like to do in the summertime because it's warm is night fish. Not a lot of people know this, but bass hit the best in the night. So they use the lateral line on their side to feel for vibrations in the water. So I like to use something that has a lot of movement. You don't have to use anything this big, but where I night fish, there's a lot of big bass, so I like to use big worms. This is a 12-inch Berkley power worm, and it's the tail is dipped in Spike It, and you basically just put that on about a 5/0 hook, 5 to 6/0, and then you put a weight in front of it. I prefer tungsten, you don't have to use that, and then you just bounce it along the bottom. You can go anywhere from a 12 to a 10-inch worm. I wouldn't go any smaller than that. Okay, and this isn't last, but drop shot baits. I just picked out a random one. This is a Bass Assassin. This is like a pink worm, I guess. So on a drop shot, you basically have a weight, and then you have a piece of line and your hook, and then your main line. And you bounce that along the bottom with a tiny bait. Next we'll go pitching. So some good pitching plastics are Brush Hogs. Really any brand makes a Brush Hog. Zoom makes a really good one. I like their baby Brush Hog. They have a lot of good colors. And alright, lastly is your tube jigs. My favorite is Secret Lures and the Roadkill Color. I love these tubes and I probably won't ever stop using them. Go check out Secret Lures, guys. They're amazing. I caught my personal best smallmouth on a tube jig, so definitely give it a try. That's about all we have time for today. Keep on the lookout for more videos. Peace out.